Well, it's time now for a look at this Friday's French newspapers with our press reviewer, Florence Villeminot. She joins me now. Hello, Florence.
Good morning.
So, France, as we mentioned, gearing up now for round one of the legislative elections this weekend. Libération's been taking a closer look at the far-right party, the Front National.
That's right. The Front National is presenting 571 candidates, and Libération takes a closer look at just who are these candidates. According to the left-leaning newspaper, they're new but fascist. New mais facho, so quite a negative front page there on Libération. Now, the paper points out that a lot of these candidates are newcomers. It's part of the party's strategy to put forward a new image of the party, a younger party where there are more women, according to Libération. It's part of this facelift that's been orchestrated by the leader, Marine Le Pen. Now, in their editorial, Libération says how these candidates perform is going to determine a lot for the next 15 years, and their score is perhaps the most important one in these legislative elections, because even if few of them actually make it into parliament, it's very symbolic. To quote from their editorial, it says that these often unknown candidates have decided to give a local face to the very bad surprise of the first round of the presidential election. That's Marine Le Pen's score, about 18%. They could give her the pedestal she needs to continue her rise. Now, another feature of new feature of this upcoming legislative election on Sunday is that the French Pirate Party is ready to join the battle for the parliamentary elections. Now, these are not seafaring pirates. This is the French branch of a growing political movement for internet freedom that's spreading across Europe. In Germany, for instance, several candidates were elected to parliament. Now, here in France, the party has put forward 101 candidates, and Libération has a portrait of one of them. He's a 41-year-old running in the 20th arrondissement here in Paris, called Pierre Mounier. Now, the paper endearingly calls him quite a geek who believes that the internet is going to reinvent democracy, and he says that this upcoming election is a real test for the party.
Okay, and we will see how they do. Moving on to more international news, a lot of the papers looking at the German Chancellor, Angela Merkel's push for, we mentioned in the news bulletin, push for a stronger political union within the EU.
Absolutely. We're going to look at the business paper, Les Echos, that says that it's a counterattack for Merkel vis-a-vis Paris. Now, according to the paper, Merkel has felt somewhat isolated and pushed into a corner by France, and she's now decided to take matters into her own hands by calling for this budgetary and political union. A new chapter, says Les Echos, in the construction of the Eurozone. Now, Les Echos points out that Paris is taking these proposals very seriously, but also is trying to play down the rising tensions between Berlin and Paris. Now, a lot of other papers are slightly more pessimistic and pointing out these growing tensions between Merkel and François Hollande. Le Monde, for instance, on their front page, call it a cold shower for Hollande's hopes. The right-leaning newspaper, Le Figaro, says that la défiance s'installe. There's a growing distrust, suspicion between the two leaders. Now, according to the editorial in Le Figaro, the fact that Hollande and Merkel don't see eye to eye is becoming more and more public and embarrassing. Now, Merkel is kind of laying down her conditions to save the euro. More political union is needed. Now, this could mean a serious transfer of sovereignty from Paris to Brussels, which could open the floor to some serious debate, perhaps even a referendum here in France, which could be politically dangerous for Hollande. Now, Hollande has said that he's pro-European. Le Figaro wonders whether or not he's ready to make the jump. He has to prove that he's pro-European.
Okay, and finally moving on, François Hollande has, on the other hand, been very keen to portray himself as Monsieur Normal, the normal guy. But Le Figaro is taking a look at the limits to that.
That's right. Now, Le Figaro says that normal, so normal, is Hollande's favorite adjective. He's used it to describe his health, his official photo even. Now, this is all to put himself as clearly a contrast to his predecessor, Nicolas Sarkozy, as possible. And according to the polls, French people like this normal attitude is spreading to other ministers who are also taking public transport, etc. Le Figaro wonders how long until this is going to start to annoy people, perhaps starting with the Secret Service, for whom this is quite a headache.
I can imagine, indeed. Well, thank you very much indeed, Florence, for that look through today's French newspapers.